Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you've joined me on this beautiful sunny day. And we are going to celebrate today St. David's Day, St. David's of Wales. And it's celebrated all over the world. He's a patron saint of Wales, March 1st. And I have brought a little Welshman and lady I put on the tea tray with some china that reminds me very much of Welsh china they call gaudy, Gaudy. And it means there is a lot of color on it. Just covered with color. And this pot reminds me of that. Oh, there's the steam. Oh my, if you haven't gotten your tea yet, please pause and get your tea, and I'll be waiting for you. Well, this darling little picture. See the beautiful blue and orange and green? Just the beginning, looking toward spring. That's what St. David's, a little sugar bowl. And if you want to see the little Welshman and his wife, they're a little bit closer. Green is a color they often use. And of course, later in the month of March, we will celebrate St. Patrick's Day, which is all about green, green, green. So the Celts love green, and it's because there are so many trees and green grass in Wales, Ireland, Scotland, all of Britain. Well, let's try the tea. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Strong, good Welsh tea. They love their tea, and usually they have little raisin cakes. I couldn't make that happen today, but my daughter-in-law brought me from England the little digestive biscuits, which I know they have in Wales. They're like a graham cracker with a chocolate top. Aren't they beautiful? I put them on a little silver plate. And, oh my, I brought a little brown purse that just reminds me. It's a little vintage alligator purse, and it has inside the real leather. And what did I bring? Let's see what I have today in my purse. And this is celebrating something spectacular. The sun is out. Thank you, God. Wow. We had weeks of rain and fog and cold, and now the wonderful sun has come. And this little purse is so small, but it holds everything I actually need. And in it, you can see it is lined with the brown leather kid. And it has a little mirror that came with it, and it's the original mirror. I can't get it out now, but well, I just wanted to celebrate this sunny day by coming out on my deck and saying to all of you, spring is coming. Yes, it is. And I know what I forgot for the tea table. I had a little flower I was going to put, but we'll just let it be green and blue today. It's so pretty. Well, St. David is a very special person. And many of you are Welsh. I know that. My husband goes back to Davidson, which is a very Welsh name, and he identifies with the Davidson tartan in Scotland, but it has Welsh roots. So my children have Welsh roots. And I absolutely love the Celtic saints. And we've talked about St. Columba, St. Patrick, St. Ninian. And I believe we have talked about St. David. He's so special. Many people believe that he was the great King Arthur's nephew. You know, King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table? Yes, he had royal blood. And he was a Welshman, and he founded many traditions. He was a very dedicated Christian, and they followed the Eastern Orthodox monastic order. He is born in the 400s, and he dies, I'll give you the exact date, and it's a little bit, you know, when it gets back that far, it's not for sure. His death was 569, and he is known as living to be 100 years old. Isn't that fabulous? And he performed many miracles, and one of his miracles was he was preaching, and the little hill, or the ground he was on, formed a hill. And so he is often depicted in cathedrals standing on a hill with a dove on his shoulder. And St. David's Day is the big holiday in Wales. Now, I should have had a leek on here, because the leek is the symbol that he took when they were fighting a battle, the Saxons, and he told the men, if you put a leek on your hat, we'll all know who we are. So they did that, and after that, that became the symbol of Wales. He made a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and the patriarch there consecrated him as a bishop. And he is also known as St. Patrick, is a little bit before him. And it says in the lore and in the writings that St. Patrick had a prophetic word that a great man, David, was coming to Wales. So it's very interesting. And he also visited Glastonbury, and it said that at Glastonbury, which is considered the oldest church in Britain, he had a vision of Jesus, and he brought with him a sapphire altar and gave it. Now, it is said that when Henry VIII was involved in the dissolution of the monasteries, he took that sapphire. And so that's quite interesting. But it's interesting to me that he had a sapphire stone, because the sapphire is the foundation in heaven. It says sapphires are the foundation of the throne of God. And I think we talked about this. The rabbis believe, and it's believed by most Christian scholars, it's not contested, that when Moses was up on the mount and was face to face with God, God was standing on sapphire. And that's why it's believed that the first 10 commandments was carved out in sapphire stone. Isn't that beautiful? So the sapphire is symbolic of the royal throne of God. And spiritually, it is the foundation stone. Isn't that beautiful? I wrote a song once on jewels, and I have sapphire in there. If we have time today, I might give you a little quote of that song, poem. Well, the wonderful thing about David was there are many murals of David and Patrick and Dennis. He is right there with all of the Celtic saints, and the St. Columba and St. Ninian, St. Finian. They're all there together. They're all a period of about 200 years, and it is the spiritual move of the Celtic Church of Great Britain. And the roots are so deep in the royal family. You know, they always have the Welsh Guard parade, and they have the Welsh Guard band, and the Welsh Guard this. And William the Conqueror, when he went to England, he was known to build castles. And he built castles all over Wales that are still standing. Many of them are in ruins, but many of them are still standing. That was William the Conqueror's legacy, was building these castles. And, because he actually built in London, the Tower of London. That is the brilliance of William the Conqueror. He knew that if he could have fortifications, he conquered, he got the land, now he had to keep the land. It's like anything in life. You don't just get it, you have to keep it and maintain it. You buy a house, you have to maintain it, right? It's everything. It's a principle of the universe. But the thing I love about David was he is known, and I can't read it in Welsh, but basically this is what he is known for saying. Stay joyful, keep your faith and creed, do little things that you have seen me do. As for me, do the little things of life. And that was his motto. And after his death, his fame spread, and his monks went out all over to evangelize Wales, Ireland, and Brittany. And he is, like I said, in the many cathedrals, you will see St. David. He has a dove on his shoulder, and then he has, he's on a little hill, a little mount. Isn't that fascinating? I love to learn, and we have to keep it fresh in our minds, because I did a talk 2 years ago on St. David's, and I had most of this information, but I had to refresh, and then it all came back. I'm a student of history. Many of you are students of history. Actually, we're all students of history. And the thing about history is, you have to keep it. It's all in you when you learn it. But you've got to keep that refreshing and in the front of the brain, right? Yes, and that's why the holidays are so special. Because once a year, we visit these holy days. And I was just reflecting so strongly on the fact that almost every single holiday we celebrate is a Christian spiritual holiday. Even July 4th is to celebrate and thank God for our independence. And Memorial Day is a very spiritual day to remember those that gave their life for our freedom. And Labor Day is a gift to the people for all their hard work. But all of the other days, Christmas, Advent, Ash Wednesday, Valentine's Day, St. Valentine, Lent and Easter, and then we can go into the Jewish holidays, which are very meaningful. The Passover goes back to the book of Exodus, of course, and Purim, which will come next month, the book of Esther. And then in the fall, we have the Feast of Trumpets, the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Booths. And all of these celebrations are to bring and keep the community and the people together with their focus that God is there watching over us. He's in charge. We want to worship and honor Him. And everyone is going to worship something. We want to worship the true God. And when you look around, and I'm playing Corelli now, you can hardly hear it, but he's one of those great Italian composers in that Baroque school that comes right before Bach and is so influential of Bach, and Vivaldi is his compatriot. They're all Christians. Vivaldi was a red-headed priest, and he wrote his music to be played by and sung by the orphans choirs to help bring money to take care of the orphans in Rome and in different cities. I think also it was in Milan, and they were in different cities of Italy that they were having these various orphan. And what would create an orphanage? Love and compassion from the heart. Well, where did the love and compassion come from? It comes from God. It comes from the words of Jesus saying, Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's where it comes from, yes. And we are so blessed that we have this incredible heritage that we can look back in history and we can see even St. David, his monastery was there. They had to feed themselves, and they had prayers and spiritual study and offices and copying of the scripture, but they also had to take care of the strangers. They were the first hotels. They were the first hospitals. Even today, most of our hospitals are founded by Christians. St. Peter's in Olympia, St. Joseph's in Tacoma. It takes a lot of love. It takes a lot of really spiritual caring and compassion. And I just feel so privileged to live at this time in history where we can use these little cell phones we have and our Google for good. We don't have to waste our time. We can look up and study history, and in an instant you can get a whole bio. I challenge you, look up St. David of Wales and you'll see pictures of him, and you will study, and there's documentaries. I mean, we should be the most well-informed people in the history of the world. Truly. We have no excuse. And we really, truly need to keep studying our books and reading our books. I personally believe very strongly that reading a book is very different than reading a Google. And when you read a book, you sit back and you can really relax. You can absorb it at your pace. You can go back, you can mark it. And when I read a book, I'm a very visual person. If I have a really important place, I underline it, and I can remember in my mind, okay, it's the right page, lower side, and I can go back and find it. Yeah, that's what and all of these saints, like David, and we'll study Patrick, they were bringing good to the people. They were bringing law and order. Yes. And when Christianity comes and it's really the center of the culture, the crime rate goes way down. America never had the crime rate they have now when they had the Bible at the center. And when the Bible was in the schools and the education, the people were so high level in their literacy because it gives you more than just your mind, it gives you your heart and your spirit. We are body, soul, and spirit. Well, Wales is a wonderful place, and I will tell you, I've never been to Wales. I've been to Scotland, Ireland, and England, all over England. And I went all over Scotland. I've been to Scotland, and I regret so much that I didn't make the effort to get to Wales. But when the Queen died, and her body was taken from Balmoral Castle up in Scotland, they had 4 services for her. Remember, if you watched it, it was several years back in September. She was buried and had a full service in St. Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, Scotland. And then her body was taken, I believe next it was taken, I believe, to Wales. And in the beautiful cathedral there, and it was the most beautiful service, and all the Welsh people were participating. And what they're really known for in Wales is their singing, their choirs, their poetry, their writing, their acting. Yes, the great Shakespearean actors. One that we would know is Richard Burton. He was a Welshman, and he was raised as a poor coal miner's son, one of about 12 children. And his mother died when he was very young. But he had an older sister who looked out for him. And then he had a man, a teacher in school, that recognized his gift and said, I'm going to help you. And he actually gave him his name, and he was educated and went to school and he went to acting school. He became a great Shakespearean actor in England and then later came to Hollywood. But the natural gift is there. Also, they're the greatest preachers. They're known for their preaching. It's verbal gifts that the Welsh people have been given from God. And I just want to close with one interesting thought. One of my darling grandchildren is a little girl named Cambria. Now, her parents named her that because it's very romantic. My son proposed to my daughter-in-law in Cambria, California. And it's a beautiful spot by the Pacific Ocean. And so they thought they would name their first daughter Cambria. And they love Welsh things. My daughter-in-law is part Welsh, and they had gone to the Welsh Fair down in California. They had bought special tea, and they were really into Wales. But they still didn't know until after she was born that the actual Welsh name of Wales in Gaelic is Cambria. And on the old maps, you'll see Cambria. Isn't that interesting? So, I have a little Welsh girl in my family. I think it's a lovely name, Cambria. It has a musical sound. Well, I hope you are all having a good week. We went to the most special thing last Saturday, and I want to do a cowboy program on this program. Our dear friends, the Cornuts, had a cowboy party for their son's birthday and the father's birthday. The father is Norm, my husband's best friend forever. And so we went up to Seattle. Whoa, we drove up I-5. Ay. It was torrential rain. It was so rainy. It was like aqueducts, and you could hardly see in front. But we went up. It was at the tip of Lake Washington, way up by Shoreline. It was on the lake, beautiful place. And everyone dressed up in cowboy outfits. And they did line dancing and square dancing, and then they sang some of the songs of the pioneers. Well, I had thought of doing a cowboy program today, but I really wanted to honor St. David. But I'll do one in the future. Well, my husband went to try on his father's cowboy hat. That my husband's from Texas, and Pop Shoemaker, his grandfather, had a beautiful Stetson hat that was passed to his father, that was passed to him. Well, when he went to put it on, something's happened to the hat, and he had stored it in a nice box. It wouldn't fit his head. It was too small. He said, I don't know what I'm going to do. So it was Friday afternoon. I said a prayer. God help me find a cowboy hat. No cowboy hats anywhere. Well, I knew Party City was closing, and I thought, I've only bought one thing there in my life. I don't know if they have it. Well, I drove up. It said closing soon. Went in, found him the coolest black leather, like a Zorro cowboy hat that lights up. Found him a black shirt with the white designs with the buttons. And he stole the show. He looked so good. Everybody said, wow, Zorro without the mask. He looked fabulous. Well, I'm not really a cowgirl. I don't have outfits. So I decided I would dress up like a señorita from south of the border. So I wore my jewels and flash, and it was fun. And we had such a blast. Then my son came. He found a big sombrero, this big, red with jewels, and he had this wonderful alpaca, real alpaca from Pendleton, shawl or cape, sombrero. No, the hat is the sombrero. There's a name for it, I can't think, but that's what he wore. So anyway, I don't know if I could ever get him and my husband on the tea table. They're a little shy. But they both looked fabulous, and everyone came up with the most creative, and they were square dancing and line dancing. And my friend Jamie, who organized it, she said, we want to do Americana. We want to take our heritage, and this is our heritage, is wonderful cowboys. I love John Wayne. I love the cowboys, and I've actually watched some cowboy movies with my husband, and you learn a lot. You learn so much about our great heritage. What tremendous people, truly, the cowboys. Wow, talk about grit, hard work, and that's what made our country so great. It took them to expand, yes. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this tea talk, and I hope you are having a good week. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, push the notification, share, please share with others. We welcome everyone to the tea table. And if you liked it, a like, and I love your comments. And just enjoy St. David's Day. There are programs at different places. We went up once to Seattle, and they had fabulous bagpipers, all the ladies dressed in the little Welsh costumes, very unique, and the raisin cakes and the fabulous tea. So, just give you one more peek. I wish there was a way that my tea set could be shown during the tea talk, but we'll figure that out someday. But thank you again for joining me, and I pray you all have a fabulous week and study a little history of St. David. You will enjoy. Thanks so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.